Happy birthday, D-Rose. And with that being said, let's go into the day 4 of the D-Rose Sneaker Challenge. So what we have here today in our hands is a classic D-Rose box. This is the same box that they use for the D-Rose 3s and the D-Rose 4s. But today we're going to be looking at a D-Rose 4, but not an OG D-Rose 4. An OG colorway, but not the original one. A D-Rose 4 Restomod and this Simeon colorway. So, the thing is, guys, when you look at, any of these Restomods that Adidas does, they really do a lot to try to, one, update the shoe with some modern tech, but also do some things to really make the shoe still have that original feel to it and not change up too much, which is awesome. Think similar to like Nike's Pro Trail line with the Kobes. They update some of the tech in it, but overall the shoe is meant to look the same as the original. But does it look the same as the original? So we'll stay tuned to the end and I'll show you guys a quick comparison. But let's talk about the tech features of this shoe itself. So the D-Rose 4s used a sprint web upper. This sprint web upper is a little bit different than what we're used to seeing because the sprint web material mainly is what you see underneath this blue layer. You can kind of see it in some of the close-up images I'll show you, but when you're looking at the shoe just head on, this doesn't give like the sprint web feeling immediately. A D-Rose 3 shows a little bit more. The D-Rose 2s and 2.5s show it even more, but this is still a sprint web upper. The thing though, it is layered with a synthetic material overlaying it, so that kind of just gives it a little bit of a different look. Back here in the heel, where you have the separate color, that's the yellow part, this here, it has a geo-fit collar to it. So this material is that memory foam that is meant to kind of, really form up to the way your ankle's shaped. And you can see it inside the shoe with the ankle pillars that are in there too. That really, back when these came out, was like really cool to me because it just really did make the shoe more comfortable as they wrapped around your ankle if you weren't wearing like an ankle brace. I always usually wore my speed wraps, but when I did wear them casually, it did make them just a little bit more comfortable, which I did find cool. Now, what is the Restomod addition to this shoe? Well, the originals used Adidas in the midsole as, and actually it wasn't even within the full midsole. The front of the midsole was a EVA, and the back of the midsole had a puck of Adidas. But the difference here now is it's a bounce midsole, and if I'm not mistaken, they replaced the entirety of the midsole with bounce. Bounce is a different type of EVA that just is, how Adidas brands it, but the bounce midsole on the 4s, honestly, this makes this shoe really different to me. Because one thing that is also different about the shoe compared to the OG release is that the OG release, they had like a really kind of a higher arch because of how the pure motion setup for this traction and this outsole was made on the shoe, where this part really kind of went up into your arch. But in the Restomods, that's not really the case. I feel that they're much more of a like flat, even level surface and more of like a flat, like a medium type arch type, which is the type of arch that I have. I don't have a high arch. So sometimes when I would wear the Rose 4s or like the Rose 4.5s, I wouldn't always find them the most comfortable because that would kind of push up into my arch. It was really apparent for me on the Rose 4.5s because I did end up playing those with an insole, but that's something I'll save for one of the 4.5 reviews that I do this month. So sticking with the 4s, guys, too, another tech feature is the sprint frame here on the heel. This is one of the sprint frames that I do remember a lot of people complaining about because it did feel a little bit more narrow, but for me, I never again really had that issue, and something I found cool about the sprint frame on these compared to some of the prior D-Rose models was that there's this dimensionality to this heel piece that you can't really see as easily on this yellow colorway, but on certain colorways it really stands out more than others because there's this little like triangles that kind of make out this whole piece that just gives it a little bit of extra shape and dimension to it, which is pretty cool. Other little features on the shoe too, you do have the D-Rose logo here on the tongue. Behind this part of the tongue is this like little shiny reflective material that is meant to make it 3M. The 3 stripes on the back are also 3M too, so these are really cool for, if you have any flash photography. If D-Rose had any dunks on people while wearing these and some flash photography happened, this would all light up, which I always thought was a cool thing. And of course they transition to the heel, which then goes down into the traction pattern of the shoe, right? Now this traction pattern is probably one of the best traction patterns that they've had on the D-Rose line. When they brought this traction pattern back for the Son of Shy 1s, or what was originally the D-Rose 12s, this really kind of blew my mind because I was like, man, that's a great traction. I never really had any issues with it. You kind of just wipe once and you were good to go. And to have that on a newer shoe, I was like, that's great. But looking at this in the Restomods, I still feel the same way about it. It's great. It sticks really well. It's the multi-directional. This was their new, like, pure motion setup that they first introduced when you had the Adidas Crazy Quick come out. The Crazy Quicks were the first one to show it. on the shoe, and I think actually the second shoes that had it was the 7732s, and then the Rose 4s had a much beefier version of that. It was a thicker traction pattern, but it was this, or thicker, it was a thicker, it was, yeah, the pattern itself was thicker, but the traction itself was the exact same sub and directional pieces, which is kind of cool. Something also that you see on here that's from the past that we don't really have anymore is this little My Adidas logo here, and that was for the My Adidas Speed Cell, that you would basically go into the shoe, you'd pull out the insole, and in there you'd be able to put in your speed cell. And the thing is, true to the OGs, the Restomods still have a place for you to do that and pull that piece out and put in the speed cell if you have it. I have a speed cell somewhere. I don't know exactly where it's at, but like, it was kind of like a cool thing to have because you could kind of track your training and stuff, and it was just something that you would do that, again, was kind of newer for the time. It was meant to be similar like the Nike Plus system, but, you know, I digress. Now, the insole itself, this insole is a little bit different than the OG insole. The OG insoles, which I'll show you in a second, actually, were just a little bit thicker than this, so I kind of don't like that they skimped out on the you know, Restomod one, but I do like that they did keep the design on the insole itself, of the, you know, the blue with the white and the yellow checkered stuff, which is cool. This insole actually looks very similar to the Rose 1 and Rose 1.5s. And even like with the way the traction pieces itself is set up to have, like, you know, this actually is meant to represent the cilia traction pads that you see on the Rose 1 and 1.5s. But, you know, that's, again, not a huge deal to not have that thicker insole here, but it is something that is the case. Now, the final piece on here that I do find very cool is the D-Rose logo here on the back of the heel piece. Just nice little carved design. You know, the 4s are really cool because they're one of the only shoes that really have this like distinct setup to it in the Rose line, where you have a front color on the front half of the shoe, a different color on the back half of the shoe that adds some dimensionality to it. Not every single colorway was like that, but the ones that were really kind of popped. This one, you know, for example. But like I said, let's look at the OGs real quick. So I did tell you guys that, you know, the box was the exact same, and it is. This box, though, instead of it being as wide as it is, it's a little bit longer in length. You know, these shoes originally retail for $160. And when you go and pull it out, you can really kind of see and compare the differences with this OG pair versus the current pair that I have out from the Restomods. And the main place where I notice the difference, like, immediately comes in the form of the laces. These have thicker oval laces compared to these flat laces. The flat laces I liked more just because of how the design look of them. But the thing is that some people complain that the flat laces are hard to tie and that you can't really, you know, they untie themselves much easier than the oval laces. So that's one thing. And then the other thing too, again, like I said, that you would notice is that the midsole itself uses Adidas back here in the heel. But otherwise, everything else in the shoe is pretty much the same. Like, when you compare the two of them, look at them, like, you know, these have faded a little bit back here with the yellow just from the age. I mean, this is my OG pair. You know, my traction on these isn't fully worn out, but it's not like anything I would, you know, write home about. And then my insoles in here too, kind of just to tell you, like I was saying for the for this original release, I have these soft sole insoles in here that are meant to kind of just help give me some extra cushioning for these. Again, they weren't bad without it. It just, after a while playing in them, because of my arch type, I think it was just a little bit more it just wasn't as comfortable as I would like it to be. But yeah, when you look at the Restomods, I mean, Adidas really did a good job of pretty much providing us with the exact same shoe, just brand new and for, you know, people to get now, which is something I love, you know. One last thing to point out about these shoes for people, this is on both the OGs and the Restomods. It does say Derrick Rose up here on the front of the toe box, which is cool. And I do love this little design right here too on the toe. This is a piece that, again, was something similar that they had kind of shown on some other shoes. I can't remember which Rose shoe that I'm thinking of right now that had this similar setup, but it was cool when you see different pieces of the designs across the D-Rose line bring itself forward to other shoes in the line. And I just always have found that, you know, really kind of cool. So yeah, you know, I really hope you guys have enjoyed watching this review of the D-Rose 4s and the Simeon colorway. The Restomods, again, great line of shoes. I got these for a steal. I think I got these for, I think it was $40 from Sierra when they came out, or were on that website at least for purchase, and I don't regret getting them. I've yet to wear these much at all, so I think today would be my first day actually rocking the Restomods in this colorway. But again, it's just great to have such a like classic D-Rose shoe again for, you know, a modern audience, which is nice. So happy birthday, D-Rose. Hope you enjoy retirement, my friend. Everyone, go wish D Rose happy birthday today. People like, comment, subscribe, and don't be afraid to jump in and join the discussion online. Post pictures of D Rose shoes. Hashtag D Rose Sneaker Challenge. I got some guys there posting stuff, and I really appreciate seeing you guys share in the celebration with me too. And I just would love to see what other people are wearing. I also want to say too, some people have told me that they want to post stuff, but it's like, I can't post a shoe every day, so like I can't win the challenge. I might have instilled the wrong thoughts in people of like, oh, you failed the challenge. Oh man, that's a big deal. No, I mean, it's just about showing off, your shoes, showing off your love for D Rose, and just like, again, just having like some fun with it, guys. So truly, where you have one pair, or you have 10, or you have 100, or you have 20, that was a quick jump from 10 to 100. But however many pairs did you have, man, just, show them, take a picture of them, share them with us online. I'd love to see them. Tag me on Instagram. Again, Adam MVP Turner. And really appreciate you guys watching the videos. So I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 5. But until then, happy birthday, D Rose. Peace.